All right. I'm Asher Glick,
I'm Beth Towns.
and we're working on a project called Briefcase. So Briefcase is a simple open source version of Google Docs. The reason that we're making an open source version of Google Docs is because while other online editors are great, they're just not that great.
We actually went through, before we did this, to make sure it was viable, we went through, looked at Google Docs, and we found so many nitpicky things that were just really annoying and really wrong with it. And I don't use Google Docs that much, at least I don't use it for more than just writing text. But Asher's used it, the spreadsheets, for other things, and the colors for the text documents and the colors of the spreadsheet are different, and you can't change them, and there's just a bunch of other stuff.
And using an open source model, we can actually get everyday people, like some of you who have already contributed, to contribute to our project. One of them we might actually show Mr. Zach Clacker.
Also, I was saying a big thing project about also not being other than being open source is we really want to make it so that I don't know how to explain this. So not only can you contribute to the actual source, but you can also be able to write your own functions easily in our application and then use them in the spreadsheet. I don't know if that makes sense. It'll make more sense when we get it working.
So the backend for our program is currently written in Django. Why Django? Because Django is really easy for developing first versions. Thank you, Alex.
So I'm working on that, and I've never actually really done a backend before, so a lot of it is me experiment. I had some Django experience before, but I've never really done backend. I've never really done databases or user stuff, so a lot of it's experimenting for me, but I'm figuring it out.
So right now we have a spreadsheet application, and it's functional, but it's not done yet. There's still a lot of things that we need to do in order to make it as good as we want it to be. And what we've done so far is we've tried to make it as easy as possible for other developers to help contribute. So when we gave our last presentation, we had a bunch of people come up to us afterwards, and they just wrote a lot of the spreadsheet functions, so that we just said, hey guys, we need all of the math functions that exist in the world. 3 days later, we had all of the math functions that exist in the world.
Right, it's all just JavaScript, and it's just really easy to just write your own function, put it in there, and it works.
So recently, we worked a lot more on developing a combination between the front end and the back end. And we also worked on generating another program, so we wouldn't just have a spreadsheet. So the communication between the front end and the back end is the AJAX communication.
So that's pretty much basically working. It took us a little while to get it working, and you can save and load files, but right now you can only save one file per user account because I just have it hard-coded in for a file name. So we're going to work on that next. And we also don't have, you can't have multiple users editing one document at the same time, or multiple users looking, having access to the same document at the same time. So those are two things that I'm going to be working on mostly next.
So the other application that we worked on was a code editor, because for those of you who have used applications like Google Docs, and you try and say, work on a code assignment with a friend, the best thing that you can do is open up WordPad on Google Docs, the word editor, and that's horrible. That's just horrible. It's like opening up Microsoft Word to type your code. You hit the print button thinking it's going to compile or something. So our code editor is not functional.
It's pretty ugly.
Yeah. And we've been doing a lot of work with Colin for text highlighting, which is really cool stuff. Live text highlighting. So now we're going to show a demo of what we've done so far. Oh no.
So it's really nice and ugly and gray because, well, I think my logo is nice, but I made that other logo and then didn't write down the hex numbers. Neither one of us have had time to go get on Illustrator and figure them out, so everything is gray for now.
Whenever people ask me, why'd you pick gray?
Asher did all that. I had nothing to do with it.
If you go to my website,
Asher,
the
you're
color
gonna make
scheme
me
is
type it like that.
gray and other gray.
Do you know how annoying this is?
I'm sorry. Or do you want to log in as me?
Oh,
Save
right.
load thing? Alright,
Right, forgot it.
so if anybody doesn't like gray, then you can actually write your own CSS sheets to change the colors. Hint, hint.
I'll do it eventually.
Alright, so this is what our spreadsheet is so far. You can click on any cell, and you can type in anything you want. So for example, Beth can type in hi guys, or she can put an equal sign and say 1 plus 2.
What was that one?
Debug.zach. And it'll give you 3.
Really?
It's a lowercase z. God, Zach, you're so hard.
Nope.
Nope. You gotta put the function. So
Man, you're making this so difficult. There
And
we go.
gives you the function that Zach live coded for us in the last presentation. But you can also do things where you can concatenate strings and integers. So if you say something like equals open quote hello, and then you close the quotes and do plus 3. It'll give you hello 3. It'll just add those together because it just brings everything back down to JavaScript, and JavaScript is crazy and crazy. So it can just do that for you. And it doesn't tell you how, and you don't ask how. There's some memory being overflowed, and nobody really cares.
Didn't this go up to something really funny last time?
If you divide by 0, yeah. Yeah, our program can also divide by 0.
There we go.
So, one of the cool things that we feel like we just added was the save and the load functions on top. So if you hit load, this is actually the JSON that it sends to you, and it loads
Actually,
everything that you
I
saved.
scroll this while on
Well,
this thing.
it says hi.
No, I
Obviously,
can't
it's-
even see the scroll bar.
It's being a little bit shy. There's so many people looking at it right now. It's just like, no, I don't want to say hi to everybody. Just some people. And then if you change something,
There, it says like, oh,
Nope,
it
nope,
doesn't
no.
do that. You broke it. I broke it. Alright, well, it says hi.
if you change something in the spreadsheet and then you hit load again, it'll just overwrite what you just saved because that's not being loaded. Or you can save it. You didn't click out of the box.
No, I didn't click out of the box. There you go. It's a slight issue that actually needs to work
Yes.
on.
Alright, so let's go back to the presentation. Does anybody have any quick questions about this program in particular? Yeah.
So that function you just called, the debug one, where is that stored? Can everyone call that now? Or?
Yeah, anybody can call that. Right now,
How do we make
it's
this go?
all in one file called math.js because that's where the original math functions were,
Actually, how do we make it go full screen?
F11. So then when we had Zach come up and hit start presentation and code it, he opened up that file and wrote math.zachclapper, which we changed to debug.zachclapper. But the way it works is that it just loads a bunch of functions just in JavaScript that are prefaced with their library name. So you have debug_zachclapper, and anybody can call those functions.
Anybody can write them, so feel free to enjoy writing functions.
The code thing is really cool. So how far is you are away from doing the code collaboration tool?
The code collaboration thing, we have a theory on how it should work, and we're pretty sure it will work. But I'm very not confident in my ability to do syntax highlighting, so we're kind of just like crawling around Colin over there, hoping that he'll just give us his code. Luckily, his code is also open source, so if he doesn't give it to us, we can just take it. But the live user sharing, we have not JavaScript versions of it working. We have Python versions of it working. So it's just a matter of putting it all together.
Actually, you read that this summer, right? Yeah, so. Right, goals. access to each other's documents. The functions to control the cell formatting. As you can tell right now, like this font's all just the same thing. You can't make it red, can't make it purple, or whatever. Multi-cell and array functions, so you'll be able to have a function that would be able to like put items in multiple cells. Also multi-cell highlighting too. That kind of goes under there. And UI is pretty just terrible right now, so.
So this is a rough schedule, and it's the most words that I've put on this slide, and it scares me. But one of the things that we're planning on finishing in the next few weeks is all this stuff. As you saw earlier, Beth tried to scroll over to the side, and that didn't work. That's because scroll bars are really weird. You can't just create a magical scroll bar. You have to have the browser create the scroll bars for you. So the way we've done that is by creating a giant div and then putting it inside a tiny div that has scroll bars. And then just overlaying that on the canvas element, which is the spreadsheet, and then we just read where it is and scroll in the same spot. We need to create a landing page, so when users log in, they can say, oh, I want to go to the spreadsheet, I want to go to the code editor.
We sort of had one.
We have the beginnings of one. Or I want to open up the file that I've already written. I want to share this file with Peter, because I don't know anything about Macs. I don't know how I wrote this file without knowing anything about Macs, because it's Linux. Right now we have 3 computers that have repos on it. There's my computer, there's Beth's computer, and then there's a server.
I got rid of it.
Whatever. There's too many computers with separate repos. So in order to actually update the server, we need to go onto the server and pull down the code. And GitHub has great ways of just sending hooks to other places that say, pull my code. So that's one of the things that we're planning on implementing. Just to make it easier. You just upload your code and it's on the site already.
Yeah, right now it's like, if Asher and I both pull from the server or try to push using the server, it like will lock the other one out. So it's like Asher, our rule for ourselves is Asher is not allowed to touch the server, and everything works okay.
We have like 3 or 4 commits by root. We don't know how to.
Yeah, and I have to pseudo commit sometimes. I don't really know why. Just like every other commit, I have to pseudo commit. I don't know.
So the last things we want to implement next week are we want users to be able to share files with each other. We want to finish the basic global menu components. For example, actual menus, so you can just have a menu bar at the top, or even things like color selectors, just so those are constant in between all of your applications, and anybody using it or anybody developing for it already has these things that they're familiar with, so they don't have to keep learning new things if somebody creates a new application. It just looks the same. And then next week, or in 2 weeks, we want to begin the implementation of real-time file editing. There's a weird problem with the code editor that we've run into, which is different browsers implement different things different ways. And normally that's not an issue. But for example, the difference between Firefox and Chrome, if you hit the enter key in Firefox, it creates a break tag. If you hit the enter key in Chrome, it creates a new div and puts all your stuff inside of it. So I don't really know how that works. And then hopefully at that same time, we'll begin writing the syntax highlighters for the code editors. So I'd like to thank Professor Morthy for not killing us ever. Starting with the first project that I ever did. Shauna Sullivan for giving us all this money. Everyone who's contributed to our project, RCOS, and everyone who ever will contribute to our project. Which means that if you guys ever contribute to our project, we've already thanked you. Are there any questions?
Sarah Simons has questions?
No.
Okay.
Peter.
So about syntax highlighting. So I was up late last night with Zach. So I need to do syntax highlighting with Genesis, right? So that it will highlight code that you're writing. So there's this awesome Google library that you guys should check out called Google Code Prettify, which not only will highlight pretty much every language, but will do it. It's language agnostic, so you don't actually have to tell it what language you're writing in. It'll just guess and usually guess right. And you can actually tell it if you need to explicitly have it do something. So it's pretty cool. It doesn't work that well for like obfuscated stuff, obviously, but it's pretty good for for other things. And then my other question is for your JavaScript functions in the spreadsheet.
Yes.
Are those like executed server side or client side?
Client side.
Okay, so what's to stop? You and I are working together, and I am just like a malicious user. Can I like script, just execute arbitrary code on your?
Why would I share my code?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Malicious
saying. Why
user?
would you be working with a malicious
Okay,
user in the
so
first
yeah,
place?
yeah. So I can still do like document, like alert and like show up stuff. But,
Yeah. I mean,
But we're assuming I'm nice and because we're
Right,
working
because
together.
if we
Right.
try to block you doing malicious code, then how are we going to know
Okay.
you're trying to do beneficial
Okay.
code?
Gotcha. Right.
Over there.
I mean, I guess again on the syntax highlighting, there also exists like Vim. I don't know if you know VI Vim, the command line modes. They also do like browser plugins, and I've seen previous like online code editors that use VI plugins, and then you just syntax highlighting becomes pretty trivial, I guess, with your Vim plugins that you can store server side and just Vim can just read in those different kind of syntax highlighting. So I don't know if you've checked into looking into that, or but I'm a big fan of VI and text editing from the command line. So it makes it simple, I guess. But for as the users go, for a code editor, I can see maybe that being a viable option, but for like word editing, not so much. But
one of the problems that we've been running into with using the code highlighting libraries that are out there is that they do a great job of making it look pretty, and it just looks like highlighted code. But if you go back in to edit it, you have no idea what the code highlighter did to it. Maybe they did some crazy things and it cross-references a different browser. Yes?
I also ran into this exact same issue. So if you this was what I was going to do, but I'm doing a more native solution now. But if you like overlay a div on exactly the same spot, I just have the user type in plain text, but make it invisible, and then they just see the other stuff, right, and make sure they scroll to the same spot. Then it all works, right? The cursor works fine and everything's okay. But it's really it's really shady. But that's what a lot of these live ones do.
Just like wants to kill you, right?
Yeah, I know.
But that is an idea.
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, but that's something I just ran into recently. So.
Yeah. Colin?
All of you are stealing my presentation, by the way.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm going to be talking next after this about syntax highlighting, so I volunteer myself to redirect all of your suggestions this way.
All right. Any other questions that does not have to do with syntax highlighting?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
So right now, like I said before, I haven't really done a lot with servers and backends. Right now, because I didn't know how he was going to send me the files, that the front end handles the files and then just sends it to the back end, but right now he's just sending it to me as text. So I've actually been saving it as a physical text file on the server, but I'm thinking about just putting it in the database, using the Django database. Does anyone have any ideas like which way would be better? Okay, that's what I was thinking. Whoa. Because like originally I didn't know if he was gonna like create a file and send it to me or whatever. So, so I just wanted to know.
Just use database.
Database.
Yeah.
File.io is really slow. Have you seen the Mozilla project for doing collaborative code editing?
Yeah, that's
That's been, yeah.
And then it like blew up.
We'll check it out. For now we're going to sit down.
Yeah.